Windsor Board of Education regular meeting of Wednesday, January 17th. This time, calling the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Excited to have a full crowd here, especially with our town manager and several of our town council members in attendance. Oh, and the mayor, Mayor of Windsor. This time, I'll introduce Dr. Hill for his budget presentation, excuse me.
Okay. Thank you, President Fury, and again, I'd like to welcome our guests as well. I'm not really used to having town council and the mayor and everyone here. Feeling kind of honored. Well, right now, don't throw anything when I'm done, though. So, as we do each year at this time, the superintendent presents his or her proposed budget, and it's the budget that is developed in conjunction with the leadership and the staff in Windsor in terms of our cabinet members as well. And this is the budget that we believe is necessary to continue to move the work forward and do what we're doing here in Windsor Public Schools. So without delay, I will go through my presentation. So first and foremost, as I've done each year, I've described for the public that we have to start the budget process looking at what we have to pay. So I think that sometimes folks in the community, even in the district, they don't really understand necessarily how budgets are comprised and what we have to do. But like your own households, we have bills that we have to pay up front and contractual obligations. And the first contractual obligations that we have are to our bargaining units. So as you see here on the slide, this is presented out to the public, right? I gotta tell you the next one. There you go. When you do the little, okay. So now we got our click-in working. I'm just gonna tap on the table and then same. So as you see here, the bargaining units that we have here in Windsor Public Schools, teachers, administrators, paraeducators, administrative professionals, nurses, and then we have a large group, a mixture of folks with the custodial, maintenance, food service, and safety monitors. So just for those contracts to roll over for the next year, that would be any step movement and pay increases. That in and of itself is 2.72%, just for that. And that is a legal contractual obligation that we have. Next slide. Next, we have the employee benefits. So I'm not going to read each number off as folks can see it, but I just want folks to understand the categories that I'm showing you. So we have employee benefits that are showing, again, so that people understand. Number one, I can tell you insurance. As many of you probably know from your own jobs outside of even public education, it never stays the same. It just continues to move. I think that I always give credit this time of year to Danielle Batchelder, because I think she does a great job working with our insurance providers or consultants to get the best rates possible that we can get, so that we don't have some of the increases that I hear from other folks in various districts and in other industries. But these are the numbers that we have each year, and you see them now. So that in and of itself comprises 0.79%. Next slide. Okay. Next, we have our transportation, physical plant, and magnet school tuitions. So we know we've heard the complaints about buses when they're late and what they're not doing, and Ms. Batchelder and her team continues to work with that code to get those improvements and get the service that we deserve here in Windsor Public Schools. Nevertheless, we have a contract and we have to pay. And so here you see the cost increase that's for our transportation, as well as, I want to be clear too, this transportation Let me just double check with Ms. Batchel. This includes our special education transportation as well. So our special education transportation is also included in this percentage here, 0.26. And then you see the fuel increase is there as well. Now going down to physical plant, our utilities, as you can see, service and supplies, and then our magnet school tuition. So that total increase is 0.91%, and you also see the dollar amount. Next slide. So here we have the aggregate. So the total cost of doing business, I like to use a general term of turning the lights back on for the next school year, just to get that done. We have our contractual obligations at 2.72%. I'm not going to read each dollar amount. Transportation and fuel at 0.4%. Physical plant services at 0.28. Employee benefits at 0.79. And magnet school tuition at 0.23. So that's a automatic budget increase of 4.42%. Next slide. These are the estimated revenues to the town. We have our educational cost sharing to 11 million or 11.5. That's been steady because we are still in Alliance District, so that number is right now and for, I guess, the foreseeable few years, pretty much a fixed number. Health services, our SPED excess costs, and our SPED tuition. Next slide. So there are some additional increases above and beyond our contractual obligations that I've already shared. So major maintenance, and these are estimated numbers that we put in there to sort of prepare ourselves for the things that could happen. I know that Board Member Lockhart, every year, this is definitely one of his categories. We never really know what number. We can't just pick a number that's going to be the perfect number every year because things break and things have to get done. But we try to put some money aside to address those issues that we know are going to come up. We have some new mandates as well from the state, and you guys have heard me say many times over the years, unfunded mandates. So our state legislature, I say it publicly, they can see me, you know, like in many other districts, they like to do things that are good for people and make laws, but then someone has to pay the bill. And so here's one of these potential bills we have. This is not focused on Oliver Ellsworth's issues that we have dealt with thus far this year. This is in general. School indoor air quality and HVAC inspections that we have to do. So these are the estimated costs that we're expecting. We have the elementary reading program. And this amount is not covering new software or any kind of curriculum that we have to purchase. This is just some of the supplies for a pilot program. So those numbers, I do not have those exact numbers, but we will bring that to the board above and beyond the budget when we get to that point. And that is a significant cost that will come to the district as well. Many of you have probably seen the news or watched the news for the last, I would say, 6 months or so. Districts have been quite vocal about this mandate from the state. And next, another mandate we have, feminine products now have to be in all school restrooms to include joint restrooms and at least one male restroom in each building. So that's going to definitely give us a significant increase. And again, that's an estimated number. We're not sure, but just based on, you know, the casing to hold the supplies and the number of bathrooms that we have in a district, this is going to be yet another cost. And again, this is an unfunded mandate from the state. Next slide. So here we've listed out, as we've done each year under the ESSER funds. So this is our last year that we're in, and the ESSER funds will not continue. But and what we've done throughout these 3 years is we've done our best to insert a position that was initially under ESSER funding into our general budget as openings came up and as we could make those staffing moves. But we still have a number of positions. I'd probably say nowhere near what many of my colleagues in other districts have, many of which are in the hundreds. So we don't have that. But these are positions that have proven their importance and their necessity for the district. And we desire to put them in the general budget and keep them. And so as you can count the FTEs and you see that total cost, just right about 1.3 million. But we want to be transparent and let folks know, so when they say, well, you showed the contracts and you showed the base rollover increases, where are the other increases coming from? I want to be clear that you will see one significant increase is absorbing these ESSER positions. And we will have some staffing reductions. So there'll be 2 FTEs at the high school to be determined based on class enrollment, as I've done for the last few years. We do our best to not end teachers' contracts, just for budget. We try to be as creative as possible and look for other ways to regain those FTEs when we reduce. So, for instance, we have some openings at this time, positions due to retirements and early retirements, and what we aim to do is just not fill those positions. So we do our best to not have to cut someone who's actively teaching, but we still do look at enrollment. So we can't keep a full-time position if we don't have the appropriate enrollment. But right now, we're looking at positions that are open that we will not backfill. Last year, we started this move, but we have the 1.0 technology director position, which came out of the administrators union, so that is out now, and the 1.0 director in school leadership. So those 2 positions, we've reduced those now as well. Other budget savings is technology software. I know the board usually asks for a list, and if that's the case again this year, we can get you that list. But most of that actually will be equipment this year. So we've decided to do some updating at I won't say slower pace, I don't know a better word for it, but a more deliberate pace. So maybe not as fast as we normally would, just to have some savings. And again, our retirement savings that we look at each year, so this is always an estimate, but we usually come in around this number, 300,000 in retirement savings. And then you see our special education out-of-district tuition costs, again, another potential savings. I'll give a kudos to our new PSCS director, Ms. Mary Christopher already. Has come on the job and, saved us nearly $500,000, and we're looking, estimated number. I don't want to say that's the exact number, but she is working to bring students back into the district that we can service and service well. So they don't have to be outplaced. We're not just bringing students back just to take them out of programs. And our summer learning as well as another cost savings. That kind of hurts because I like the work that we've been doing. I know the community has enjoyed it, and, but I also understand I have to bring something to the community as a whole. And so this is my proposed budget. Next slide. So the total operating cost for the 2023-2024 school year was $80,184,011. The increase to the budget, what I'm proposing at this point, is 6.40%, or $5,129,328, for a total operating cost for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year of $85,313,339. And then the following slides are showing the public when our upcoming budget and our finance meetings, when we go through the budget more intentionally by each section and each department. So obviously the public is welcome and invited to come out to these meetings. And as you can see, they'll be for the next 4 Tuesdays. And then ultimately, once we come to what the board accepts and what the board desires for the budget to be presented to the town, the board votes on that February 21st, 2024, that evening. And that is the superintendent's proposed budget for 24-25. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll recognize our finance chair to talk a little bit more about the meetings are listed there, but what the understanding is so that all board members as well as the community knows what our process is going to be in these various public forums and finance committees. Mr. Lockhart?
All right. Mr. Chairman, good evening, everyone. So as we typically do, this is the part of the process where we are a full committee of the whole, where the chair deliberates with the board, with the president serving as ex officio. And what we do is go each site, each part of the budget is called a site, and we go line by line. It is my desire that it is not read to us. I am respectful to the fact that we do have 2 new board members on the board, so there may be some level of some questions in that area, and I'm hoping for that. But what I don't want is for us to be parroted to, and I'm hoping that we are going to come prepared with questions and to be able to deliberate. This is a very, very robust budget, and the way it's going to go, we're going to have the first 3 meetings, we'll have the public forum. After the public forum, we will go into deliberation. Typically, we would like to end after 2 hours of deliberation, with the understanding halfway through there'll be a slight recess for restroom break, or we just power right through. As far as questions, if the board has any questions that they want the superintendent to answer, it's the go through your caucus leader, and then that will then get to either me and or Dr. Hill, and Dr. Hill will be prepared to answer those questions at the next meeting. If you happen to come up with a question at a said meeting, it will be requested at that meeting, and then Dr. Hill will then take that and then bring it back with a response before we start the next sections of the budget at the next meeting. There are 4 meetings scheduled. Traditionally, we've only powered through with 3 meetings. That 4th meeting, if it is used, that meeting is not open for public comment. It's just strictly for the board to deliberate, with the understanding that we have to come to some understanding that the budget, as you see, will be forwarded to the board meeting in February, with the understanding that will be the time and place to make motions, to amendments, to debate, to really, really understand it and show the public exactly how the budget's going to go. All of these, Dr. Hill, please let me know I'm telling the truth, are going to be televised and recorded. Is that true? Or I just want to make sure. Right, so they will be televised and recorded. We welcome anyone and everyone that wants to hear what's going on with the budget to please participate and be here and to watch the deliberations. I think that's basically it.
Thank you very much. Questions for Mr. Lockhart, and then I'm going to ask if there's general questions for Dr. Hill regarding the PowerPoint that we gave him. The executive committee had talked, and we agreed that we weren't going to go into too many substantive issues, but if there were general questions or questions on what he presented, we could take those. So any questions for Mr. Lockhart?
Just a question. Can I get a copy of the deck? I don't have one.
It should be in your packet.
No. And when you sat,
I didn't see that. That's why I've been running around. I don't have a copy. Unless someone can find me. Just sorry.
It was an hour pre-setting.
That's all right. If we're short, I'll wing
You
it.
guys moved over, did you take his packet? Because everybody.
I have mine.
Presentation. I don't have a copy of the presentation.
It's in the.
I don't have the board packet. Unless I'm missing something. I've been digging for the last 20 minutes.
You're suppressing his rights. That's what it is.
When you guys moved down, did you move his place setting?
I grabbed one of these up.
He doesn't have tonight's
He doesn't have this.
agenda, the whole
The
thing.
agenda, the whole thing. This folder?
Yeah, I looked in that and it doesn't have it.
No, I'm just.
These
No, no,
folders
it
are
wasn't,
empty.
yeah.
Yep. So, thank you.
So with that being said, Mr. Madison did not, I'm sure he was here for the presentation, but he was running around. So if you have any questions that you want to ask one off,
Yeah.
or you can easily request an appointment with Dr. Hill,
Yeah.
if you wish, so,
I'm set. Thank
just
you.
for the record.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Any questions for Mr. Lockhart? Any questions for Dr. Hill on the presentation? No. Paul? Okay. We're going to move on to the public forum, and Ms. Daly, can you read your script?
Good evening, this is Robin, excuse me. Good evening, this is Robin Daly from the Superintendent's Office. If anyone from the public would like to address the board, you may do so in two ways. You may type your name, address, and comment into the Q&A feature in the Zoom application, or you may speak by clicking raise hand or by dialing *9 within the Zoom app. When you are called on to speak, you will be given 3 minutes, I believe 5 minutes for this. Is that correct? Yes. Okay.
Yes, sorry.
5 minutes to speak, to state your name, address, and comment. Please do not place the call on speakerphone. No comments can be made against the employees of the school district or children outside of your own, and no comments will be made by the board at this time.
And just to let the public know, if there is anybody, whether they're calling in or here, we're going to have another audience to visitor session for the regular meeting. So this is for comments on the budget for this year, either on what they've seen or other issues they may have regarding the budget for this coming year. Is there anybody first in the boardroom who'd like to comment on the budget process or the budget proposed? Seeing none, is there anyone online?
There are no attendees with their hands raised, and there are no open questions or comments in the Q&A feature.
Without objection, I'm looking to each side of me. We'll close the public forum, and at this point, we are going to have a 5-minute recess. We'll be back at 7:05. call the meeting back into order at 7:15. Next item on the agenda is recognitions and acknowledgements. And we probably were ahead of time to get to this point. I don't see our student representative here, but I'd like to read a proclamation to Tim Hoagland, our Board of Representative for the first half of the year. Certificate of Recognition, Timothy Hoagland is hereby recognized for his outstanding service as the student representative to the Windsor Board of Education, awarded the 17th day of January, 2023, signed by myself, President of the Board of Education, David Fury, and by Dr. Terrell Hill, Superintendent of Schools. And it could be he's studying for his midterm exams, so we'll see that he does get the recognition. Next item of business is the regular audience to visitor. Ms. Daly, can you read your script?
Good evening, this is Robin Daly from the Superintendent's Office. If there's anyone from the public who would like to address the board, you may do so in two ways. You may type your name, address, and comment into the Q&A feature in the Zoom application, or you may speak by clicking raise hand or by dialing *9 within the Zoom application. When you are called on to speak, you'll be given 3 minutes to state your name, address, and comment. Please do not place the call on speakerphone. No comments can be made against the employees of the school district or children outside of your own, and no comments will be made by the board at this time.
Thank you. If at the 2.5-minute mark, if anybody is speaking, Ms. Taylor will raise a red card briefly, and then at the 3-minute mark, she'll raise it again and hold it up to let you know to conclude your remarks. And for people, if they do comment through Zoom, at the 3-minute mark, Ms. Taylor will let you know to conclude your remarks. Is there anybody in the boardroom, first of all, who'd like to address the board? Seeing none, is there anybody online?
There are attendees, but no one has their hands raised, and there are no comments in the Q&A feature.
Okay, without objection, I'll close audience to visitor. Audience to visitors closed. One thing I'm going to remind board members here, we've been told a couple of times that sometimes our mics don't pick up very well. So please, I don't want you shouting into the mics, but please have your microphone fairly close and try to increase the volume of probably your regular speaking voice so we know it's being, people can hear us. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be pulled? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Board of Education approve consent agenda item 7A, financial report, 7B, enrollment report, 7C, food service report, and 7D, human resources report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Halleck. Hopefully no discussion since it's a consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention, motion carries 9-0-0. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
Move the Board of Education approve the minutes from December 19th, 2023 special meeting and December 19th, 2023 regular meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Lockhart, seconded by Mr. Halleck. And I didn't ask to separate these two, so is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Aye. Abstentions, 9-0-0. Next item is the student representative report, and since the student is not present, we're going to skip over that. Next item is Board of Education reports, and first is my report. I attended the Public Building Commission meeting on January 9th, along with Mr. Panos and Mr. Lockhart. The PBC has also asked the Oliver Ellsworth consultant to come and speak to them, and that'll be an opportunity for any of us to be there to hear again. And if we have questions, I think we can try to get them to PBC members ahead of time, because even though there's an opportunity for communications, it's not a back and forth as we would be able to do when we're able to secure them as well. I know we're trying to do that in addition to that, so hopefully that will work out. And if Mr. Panos or Mr. Lockhart, at the end of my report, want to speak to the PBC meeting, I would appreciate that as well. I, along with several board members, attended the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration at Town Hall on Monday, sponsored by the Archer Memorial AME Zion Church in Windsor. It was a very moving celebration, and the primary speaker, the keynote speaker, was our own Mayor, Nushet Black Burke. And I just have one quote about education from Martin Luther King Jr. Education must enable one to sift and weigh evidence, to discern the true from the false, the real from the unreal, and the facts from the fiction. And I think towards the kind of education that we want for our students is to look at issues and hear different sides of an issue, and to do the research and come up with some conclusions based on that type of research, and the importance for us to give skills to our students, age appropriate, as they go through the Windsor schools. The first robotics team that encompasses students from the middle school, Sage Park, and also the high school, the First Tech Challenge, is hosting a competition at Windsor High School on Saturday, January 27th, starting at 9 o'clock. Our first Lego League team had a great year this past year and had their first competition this past fall. The first robotics competition group, which is the high school group, just had their new game and unveiled beginning of January, and they have 6 weeks now to build, program, and test a robot. That's my report. Are there any questions? Or also looking if Mr. Lockhart or Mr. Panos wanted to comment on the PBC issue.
Mr. Panos, would you like to speak first?
No, I think that covers it. This is our PBC issue.
Yep, I'm in agreement.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing and hearing none. Next item is policy adoption and a second reading. Is there a motion?
I move the Board of Education approve P5112, age of attendance, P6148, policy to improve completion rates of the free application for federal student aid, FAFSA in parentheses, and P6200, adult/continuing education, as a second reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Wollaston, seconded by Mr. Halleck. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Abstention, motion carries 900. Next item is liaison reports. First take Windsor High School. Ms. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Lots going on, Windsor High School this week. Midterm exams are happening. due to the inclement weather, today was adjusted, but thank you to Dr. Hill and team, making sure the information was timely to get out to parents and students so they could adjust their schedules accordingly. And I am a parent of a high school student, and it worked out. It seemed like it worked out very well. There are a lot of activities happening. We're going towards the end of January, but we're heading towards Black History Month. So stay tuned for a lot of activities there, from the in-school February 9th event to the choral event at the end of the month. We also have the ROTC Mid-Year Awards Ceremony, January 31st, I read as well. And quarter close is this Friday. So just wishing all of the students an absolutely, wonderful midterm week, especially with all the hiccups and changes. And shout out to Windsor girls basketball. I heard JV and varsity won tonight against Manchester.
Thank you. Mr. Wollaston.
Thank you. I echo Ms. Taylor's sentiments, and I also would like to add that I encourage our students to, in this time for the midterm season, just make sure we stay well rested and make sure you eat as well before your test, just to be as prepared as you can in your own body. We're all hoping that you're studying as best as you can, but just take the extra steps. I know you have a lot of free time because of the half days. Use it to study and use it to rest so you can be prepared for the tests when they come. But on top of that, I would just add that on the 22nd, the SGC will be meeting. I'm very glad to be able to meet with them again. It's been quite some time since I've been able to attend, but I'm looking forward to meeting with the School Governance Council and bringing back to the rest of you all what the group has been working on. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the high school? Seeing none, the next is Sage Park. Mr. King.
Thank you. Obviously, the kids have come back to school. It's been really nice to see. We're hoping they're going to have some good things. I do want to give a quick shout out to the PTO, and if there are parents out there that are looking to join or get involved, they are actively recruiting new members. The only other thing I will say is I'll be in the school the next couple of weeks with Principal Jorgensen, checking out some things and doing a tour, so I'm looking forward to that. And that's it on my end.
Thank you. Mr. Panos, do you have anything to add on Sage Park?
No, I don't, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Clover Street, Mr. Madison.
Yeah, 4 things. I met with Mrs. Lee. She's fantastic. I already loved her, but I love her more now. She took all the kids to the Bushnell for the Hartford Symphony and Cirque du Soleil, at the Symphony. All the kids, a Dress to Impress event. My wife was actually one of the chaperones, and my wife said it went fantastic, and we had the biggest group there, and the behavior was excellent, and the folks who run the thing were very impressed with us and our students, so that was awesome. A couple things. I'm a big believer in walking the factory line, metaphorically speaking or literally, and I'm continually impressed at how much the leadership in our town talks to the parents and the students. And so Mrs. Lee, I found out, and if this is old news to all of you, then bear with me. I'm new, so I think everything's cool. But she or Mr. Spector ride the bus about 3 times a week just to be involved with the students, so I love that. And there's also the Student Advisory Council. I don't know if this is a thing in all the schools, but that's where Dr. Hill comes and talks to the students, and the other adults in the room are not allowed to talk. So again, I love the connection to the troops. You got to listen to the people on the ground. That's how you find out what's going on. So excellent there. And then she also made a process improvement, which I thought was interesting, and she only mentioned it in passing. I thought it was very interesting, because I'm a big believer in process improvement. That's how you make things scale. That's how you make things better, right? We have all the same raw materials we had 10,000 years ago. It's like, but we know how to manufacture stuff. Why? Because we had a process around it. So she has what she calls VIP lunches, which is interesting because kids have 30 minutes for lunch, and at the 20-minute mark, if everyone has followed the cafeteria expectations, they go out to play 10 minutes early. So by saying to the kids, if you've eaten your food and if the whole group all behaves correctly, which has a group dynamic to it, which is also powerful, you get to go out and play for an extra 10 minutes. And so as a result of this, her behavioral issues in the cafeteria have cut down by 1/3. So I thought that was an interesting thing too. It reminded me of something that happened in Iraq. They found out that when there were evening riots, the military had to deal with the rioting. And in order to stop that, they found that if they got rid of the food vendors around 3 or 4 o'clock so that everyone was hungry and went home at 6 o'clock, they didn't have to have any violence in the evening. This is a known case study. It was published in Harvard Business Review. And so I just thought it was interesting that just little process changes like, yeah, let the kids out 10 minutes early so they can go play instead of having to sit there and behave for 10 minutes, which is hard for grade schoolers to do. It cut down behavioral issues by 1/3. So just good technique there in case anyone else wants to leverage that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Clover? Next, we have John F. Kennedy School. Ms. Cantor.
Thank you. The PTO continues to give enormous opportunities and activities to all the students. They've created so many programs, and they work so hard at it all the time. They had a PTO meeting again on 1/8/24, and the Windsor High School Band and the orchestra came in December. I think I mentioned that. They finished their iReady testing. Well, it's 50% completed, and there's significant growth in the fall assessment, and they're all on goal for their phonological assessment. And the students got to experience their first Fun Friday this past week. That's a new program that they created. And there was no school on MLK Day. They're having the JFK Solar Concert Thursday, 1/18. It's from 6:15 to 7. The JFK ribbon cutting ceremony for the school stores is Friday at 9 a.m. And Eagle tickets are still their currency that they're using to purchase things. They've got great things in there. The JFK Band Concert and Orchestra Winter Concert is going to be on 1/22. It's from 6 to 7. And then on February 1st, they have STEM Night Literacy, and their main theme is Star Wars. On 2/5, JFK PTO meets again from 6 to 7. On February 12th through the 25th, they're doing the Apex Fun Run. They're looking for volunteers for the JFK PTO, so if anybody's interested, please, follow through with that. So the Fun Fridays are going to be 1 time a month, and the PTO donated money for supplies, and they're going to be all types of activities. The lost and found items need to be claimed, and they're in the cafeteria. If you don't claim them, they'll be donated. See, and there is a big shout out to Miss Hinks, who started the new fitness program at JFK. They had over 30 students exercising on Friday morning. They're just so full of things. They're so busy. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for JFK?
I don't have a question, just a huge shout out to our PTOs across. I don't know any other district that has such engaged parents in PTO participation. There's just so much you can do. But what I would say is those same parents, if we could keep that energy once they get to Sage Park, that's where we kind of fall off. And I'm talking to myself too, but I'm on the board, so I get a pass. But I hope that energy that everybody has at your Clovers, your JFKs, your Pequannoks, and your OEs, to continue that energy just a little bit for Sage, because they need you too. So I just want to give that little plug and plea. I know you mentioned it, but they could really use that great energy. And Apex is so much fun. Even though I don't have a kid there anymore, I might have to go on ahead and volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Next, Oliver Ellsworth. Mr. Lockhart.
Thank you, sir. Still doing my office hours there, Thursdays and Fridays. Just want to thank all the staff, the teachers, the custodian, everybody, the principal. Everybody's really been grabbing me as I go in the hallways. Even the kiddos recognizing me now, like they think I work there now. So they kind of listen to me when I tell them to not run in the hallways and stuff. So I guess I'm free labor. It's good to see all of these students well-engaged, well-behaved. The staff is working really hard in there. They definitely got their hands full in there, to say the least. With the kids are giving them, they're energetic, they're bushy-eyed, and they're kids. They're doing what kids do. They harness. We got to work to harness that energy and keep their attention. So they're doing a good job with that. Mr. President, myself and I, we've been invited to their Governance Council meeting on Monday, January 9th at 6 p.m. It is virtual. I'll be in D.C., but, January 29th. It's a Monday, and it's virtual, and it's at 6 p.m., so they would like for us to be on. I will ask to send to the executive committee if anybody on the executive committee wants to be on there. They're just trying to make sure that they get some engagement, and you know, you may be open to questions or anything. I did not volunteer you for questions, but they're very good at asking me questions, and so it's a very, very captivated bunch. And like I said, I just want to thank all the parents that have engaged me in the hallway, good, bad, or indifferent. The parents have been really willing to just share their opinions, really share their thoughts. As a board member, I share with them what I can share with them. I give them some guidance on how to resolve certain situations, definitely things that are not within the purview of a board of ed member, but refer them welcome right to the principal officers. This is the person that can help you with that complaint or that concern immediately. That type of extra touch that goes on. So I do plan on keeping my commitment during Thursdays and Fridays in the building for the rest of the year. As you know, we got a project that's about to happen on that building with the air handling unit, and we want to make sure that that goes off without a hitch, and to make sure that this board is definitely in front of it. I'm sure, Mr. Panos, you would agree we need to be with the PBC, making sure everything is going with that particular project, going to plan, and to make sure everything is okay. So, and as far as reading to the kids too, I enjoy reading to the kids at OE, and I've been reading to the kids. I've been invited to go back to Clover, and I recently read to Class 8 at Pequannock, and the person I read about was John Lewis, and a person that influenced that John Lewis influenced, and I knew John Lewis personally. I knew of the story. I knew of this young man, so it was kind of being vulnerable in a bunch of little kids, but it was a great experience. So I encourage all board members not just go to your school, but go to all the schools, the elementary schools, and just read to them. They're like sponges. They're glad to see us. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Oliver Ellsworth? Next, we have Pequannock. Mr. Halleck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pequannock's PTO was supposed to meet on Monday, January 8th. Unfortunately, that meeting was canceled. However, there is another PTO meeting coming up on February 5th from 6 to 7 p.m. And also the PTO, they do have a Facebook page where they list everything that they're involved in, doing at Pequannock School, which is awesome. February 6th is a teacher professional development day, so there will be no school that day. This coming Friday is the first ever Under the Northern Lights dance, and that's from 6 to 7 p.m. Dress to Impress. It will be located in the Pequannock School gymnasium. It's going to be a night of a family fun, music, pizza, and much more. Registration is required, but you can do that right on the Pequannock School website, and admission to this event is free. Pequannock is also gathering a winter hats, mittens, and socks. They started this on January 8th, and they're going to be doing it through January 31st. You can drop off any of those clothing items in the main office. Finally, to piggyback off of Mr. Lockhart here, Read Across America is coming up on March the 1st. If you're interested in reading a book to a Pequannock classroom, you can RSVP to Miss Abbott by Wednesday, February 14th. Books will be provided, but you're also welcome to bring a book of your own if you would like to as well. And that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions regarding Pequannock? Okay.
Not really a question, not really a question, more of a comment, you know. You spoke of Miss Abbott. I just want to say she was a lovely lady. You know, she was there at my time in Pequannock, and I had a great experience with her. I went to school with her son as well, and I'm just happy to see that she's still here for the kids and doing what she does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate her too. And her husband is president of Team Paragon Robotics, Inc. Just happened to bring, I try to bring robotics into every conversation. That reminds me of robotics.
Sir, respectfully, you don't try, you do.
Next item is the superintendent's report. Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President. So pleased to announce that one of our faculty members, Kathy Kajek, has been awarded the CAACE, which is the Connecticut Association for Adult and Continuing Education Educator of the Year Award for her contributions above and beyond the normal expectations for an educator in the adult education realm, and who has also demonstrated a consistent dedication and service to adult education students, and has also been involved in innovative programming. So I know we all sent congratulations to her via email, but I thought it'd be great to have her acknowledged here at our board meeting in front of the community, because we do have an adult education component in our district, and we have some wonderful staff doing great work, and it's nice to see one of those staff members being recognized. My next coffee talk will be Wednesday, January 24th at 5:30 p.m. here at LP Wilson, here in the boardroom. And we've talked numerous times, but I'll just remind the public again. The public forums will begin next Tuesday, the 23rd, at 6 p.m., and they will be hybrid style, so you can be in person, but they'll also be recorded, and they'll be shown online as well. And at this time, I will ask Ms. Batchelder to give the information updates as requested during the executive committee.
Thank you. So regarding DACO transportation, I reached out to Tom Mooney. I was told that someone from the board reached out to him. So he is not the current one that I have dealt with in the past, because he doesn't do these types of contracts. And so I am still waiting on the other lawyer that I had dealt with last year when we had these concerns. We have been playing phone tag, but it is, in her opinion, still not up to any standard that would be able to cancel or terminate the contract. In her opinion, last year's issues were more severe than this year's issues. So, again, we are playing phone tag. This was just by conversations back and forth, but I will definitely try to reach out to her again tomorrow, and I can put everything in. I'll ask her to put everything in writing to me, and then I can send that to you if that helps, so you get it directly from her.
One of our questions was, what does trigger or rises to the level of default? Is it one huge problem, or are 100 little problems? And what would be the nature of those 100 little problems that may rise enough to that level? I mean,
So,
between Oliver Ellsworth mold and DATCO are the things that we as board members hear the most about.
okay, so I don't know about the mold parts, but I'm just talking about DACO right now.
I'm just talking about DATCO.
Oh, okay. So her explanation to me was not many different little problems. It was an actual breach of contract, and that they would have to have no response back, or no trying to do or trying to fix or trying to get better. And that has not taken place, in their opinion at this point.
Okay. I have a call in to Attorney Mooney at this point anyway, who unfortunately is under the weather right now, but I will add just to make it very clear from my discussion with members of the executive committee of what our expectations were from Shipman and Goodwin, so that we're on the same page. Thank you. Mr. Madison.
Am I allowed to ask questions here? I don't know anything, right? So I'm trying to keep up here. So do we have some basic facts about the performance of the buses? Just really simple one, like how many runs per day and how many of them are late and how is that reported? Is that already been published? Is that available?
So we receive emails every morning informing us as Windsor Public Schools and all of the admin assistants at the school level, beginning around 6:30 every morning on what buses will be anywhere outside their 10-minute window. We've tried to fine tune that. There was confusion between DACO and our staff within Windsor Public Schools around what constitutes that 10-minute window. So we've fixed that up because if someone called or DACO said, for instance, the bus will be 15 minutes late, the admin assistant is saying 15 minutes late on top of the 10 minutes where they have that window, so then that makes it 25, and miscommunication was going out. So we stopped all that, and we actually took the 10-minute window out and just said, moving forward, if that bus is 10 minutes late, even if it's the 10-minute window that you're allowed, we want to know that the bus is 10 minutes late. So we've put those things in place at the DACO level and school level.
No, that's fair. Can I, Dr. Hill, can I meet with Ms. Batchelder just to get as much facts as I can on this? I need to just dig into okay, I do data for a living, guys. You know this, right? And so I have a whole bunch of data questions. I don't want to burden us here for the next half hour, especially if you guys all know it. But I have some very specific ways I want to look at the information. And I just want to just drill for facts.
You want to ask her questions about DACO?
Yep.
Sure.
Mostly on gathering data at an aggregate level, blah, blah, blah. Just, if I can set up an hour and just drill down and geek out.
You just slid that hour in there real quick.
And if you're over 10 minutes, we're going to report you.
You're out the door.
How about we start with a half an hour?
Let's start with half an
It
hour.
is budget season, and I need her.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. And I can write it up in advance so you know what I'm asking for, too. You know how I write things up in
Not a
advance.
half an hour reading ahead of time. Okay.
That counts too? All right. I just want to ask some particular factual questions. I don't want to bother everybody for the next, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Wollaston?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, like where we are in the report, I don't want to get into a place where we just burden you with questions and you still have so much more to report. So maybe I'm thinking like you get through everything you have to get through and then we save our questions for afterwards so we don't question you after every single thing you say.
That was all I had to say for the DACO
Okay.
question.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I was just making sure.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right.
Ms. Cantor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say to Ms. Batchelder, I did forward you some emails with the dates and the times and the bus numbers of what came for pickup and departure, so you would have that information too. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Would you like me to push on?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I'll have Dr. Haiti and Ms. Fudge come forward with a revision to our program of studies.
We're going to start with a motion before we. About the program of studies. I guess the whole thing.
I'm going to start with the motion, and then I'm going to explain what the motion's about. How's that? I move the Board of Education to approve the revised, hold on a second. Yes, yeah, revised 2024, is that where we're at? Yep, 2024-2025 Windsor High School Program of Studies for first reading and waiving the second reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Halleck.
Okay.
Ms. Taylor.
For the background, the proposed addition of the Firefighter 2 course in the 2024-2025 Windsor High School Program of Studies is in response to the overwhelming success and positive reception of the Firefighter 1 course within both the student body and the broader Windsor community. The details of Firefighter Course 2 are as follows. Firefighter 2, 0.5 credits, prerequisite Firefighter 1. This course is designed to work in conjunction with the knowledge and skills taught in Firefighter 1. Students will continue to participate in the classroom and hands-on practical situations that become more difficult and model situations that would be similar to those as a new recruit in the firefighting academy. Students will continue their studies on fire behavior, building construction, hose lines, entries, and further develop their leadership skills. Students will get their CPR/AED certification, as well as make valuable connections within the community with the Windsor Volunteer Fire Department and EMS. Students will have hands-on experience from experienced firefighters and first responders in the field. It is important to note that we are seeking approval to add this course to our program of studies with the understanding that, as any other course, the running of the actual course is contingent upon three things: student requests, available teaching staff, and the master schedule constraints.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. So I'll go ahead and start. So we would like, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So the program of study was previously approved. We're just seeking approval to add this new course. So we currently have 19 students in our firefighting 1 course that have shown interest into moving on and taking another like a Fire 2 course sequence. We looked into creating a year-long course versus creating 2 sections, a Fire 1 and a Fire 2, and we looked at what other schools are doing. You know, in my search, I found that a lot of other schools have actually discontinued that course because of budget cuts. I know you had brought up one of the district I looked into, but we feel like we at least have enough interest as of today. This is why I made sure to put on there that, you know, we want to put it on a course request, and depending on student schedules and student interest, and also the availability of a teaching staff. So we are no longer, as of next year, I think, we will need to find a teacher for that course. So with the understanding that if we do have the teacher and we do have the number of students who are interested in taking Fire 2, we would like to offer this course.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first. Sure, you can go first. Mr. Lockhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm selfishly cheerful about this development.
Like David and Roboto.
Yes. As you know, about 70% of the firefighters in the country are volunteers. So from a volunteer standpoint, as well as teaching a skill that can lead them to apply for an actual paid job and go through the academy with these foundational skills, or if they don't want to go that route and want to actually have another career and want to serve their community as a volunteer firefighter or EMS or whatever, they have the foundational skills to join a volunteer department and to be able to just transition right in. And then when they go to the fire academy, the experience is going to be a lot more easier for them because they know exactly what to expect. Do these high school students get the rigor of what you get at the fire academy? No, because they're not of 18 years of age. They don't do live burns. They're not CBA, SVCBA certified, stuff like that. But all the other mechanicals of being a firefighter, they're getting it. I wish personally it was a double block for both courses. However, I'm not going to be greedy. But what I will say is that this is a great foundation for what has been built. I want to thank definitely Chief Bianchi, Chief Shea. They've worked tirelessly throughout this state, working with other fire departments. I think they worked with the town of Berlin with their program to see what they're doing. They're making sure that they're using the curriculum that I learned at the CFA as a volunteer firefighter about 17 years ago. Of course, it has evolved, but the concepts are all the same. So to see that there is interest, and now we're at a point where they get to Fire 1 and they end Fire 1, Now, do we just drop it cold turkey or do we continue it? And I think right now we've built the capacity for them to continue to see if we can further feed that interest. So kudos to the team. I know the team did a lot this year to make sure that the program get off the ground. So I want to publicly thank Dr. Hill, you and your team, who, however it got done. And it's definitely bearing a lot of fruit. And we have a lot of volunteer firefighters, chiefs, retired chiefs, officers, line firefighters that are participating with these kids every other block to make sure that they're getting that true instruction. So I just want to say thank you to the district.
Thank you. Mr. Halleck.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question and then some comments. Is there any possible discussion about making this a double block period for these students? Or is that kind of out of the question at this point?
At this point, it's out of the question because the amount of time it will take from students. So this is going to have to come out of the student total elective credits. So if we make it a double block all year, that's 2 full credits, which students don't really have more. I think they have a total of 3 electives. So if they do that, then they don't have any other, space in their schedule any of the years to take CTE classes or anything else. So that's going to be really hard. Also, I do want to make sure that we're aware, there's also a budget implication because even though we do have a certified teacher who is the teacher of record for that course, we pay for fire instructors to come in every other day to teach the class. So now we're going to be doubling the budget that we have for firefighting 1 to make sure that we have money to pay fire instructors all year, in addition to the time that is taken, the FTE that we have from Windsor High School.
Okay, thank you. That's fair enough. I am just piggybacking off some of the comments that Mr. Lockhart made. I'm very excited to see this happen. I think this is going to it'd be great for students to move forward. They're going to gain so much knowledge. Through both courses, Fire 1 and Fire 2. So I think that's a great thing. Obviously I do have a little bit of bias, being my father-in-law being the chief in town, but it is a great program. I speak with him regularly about the program. I know he's very excited about it, and so I am very happy to support it. Thank you so much.
Unless anybody, it's on the, yes, we'll go. Mr. Lockhart.
Yeah, I currently serve said chief as well, so I totally understand that. I just want to clarify my excitement about a double block. When you get the fire truck in place, when we pull the fire truck up, and then you get the people into their gear, get them into their regimen, once you start hitting that stride, next thing you know, now you got to break everything down, and then so you hit a certain point, but you never get to the point where sometimes where you need to get to where you need to be. So that's why the double block at times would be good in this situation, but I truly understand why we can't do the double block. But I just want the public to understand why the double block, if it's ever feasible in the future, why it will be beneficial to the children.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Wollaston?
Yeah, I would just like to say, sorry. I'm very supportive of this as well, and I'm proud of what you guys have been doing here, truly. And this is the kind of thought that I like to see go forward from the board and from all of you who work so hard to get this kind of stuff done, because it builds community. At the end of the day, I know the other day I was talking with Mr. Lockhart, and he surprisingly to me let me know that 70% of the firefighters across the nation are volunteer. So even sparking interest like this in students, you have no idea what this could do to the world around us for the next however many years. And even just for students who are participating now, it could build their resume in a way that is very competitive compared to other people who are not going after these things and putting these things on their resume. Not just people who are seeking for a paid firefighter position, but even just in going to school and having something like this on your resume shows a certain kind of character and a certain kind of willpower and interest. So I think creative ideas like this for our students are truly things that we should continue to seek towards to build community and just help our students be as competitive as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I guess I want to echo what's been said. I'm very supportive of this course, and I wanted to thank Dr. Hill and you, Dr. Haiti. We were initially proposing this about a year ago. I think it was brought to our attention through Mr. Lockhart about the Berlin program, and we thought, okay, let's put this into long-range planning committee. It's going to take a while, and under your leadership, Dr. Hill, and your work, Dr. Haiti, you got it done for that year. For us. So we appreciate that, and it's consistent, too, with our interest with vocational opportunities. Even though 70% of departments may be volunteer, we have West Hartford, Manchester, Hartford, Enfield, all around us, paid, good-paying jobs. We have the firefighting academy right in our backyard, just about in Windsor Lock. So a feather in a cap for Windsor, and thank you for your leadership on that.
I would, can I just add one thing? I would like to publicly acknowledge and thank Ms. Dana Fudge and Ms. Erica Fangiulo. There have been both of them working in the background because scheduling is a nightmare and making sure that this runs, it has to run first block. So Ms. Erica Fangiulo and Dana Fudge have been doing an amazing job. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. And next, we would have Ms. Batchelder come forward for the second reading of the 2024-25. Oh.
We're going to start with a motion first, but as she.
We didn't call the question.
Oh, sorry. See, maybe people aren't in favor of this. All those in favor of the motion, which was for a firefighting 2 course and also waiving the second reading, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nay? Abstentions? Motion carries 9-0-0. Should be.
Okay, this is a long one.
School calendar motion.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Board of Education accept the proposed 2024-2025 and the 2025-2026 school calendars for a second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Halleck. Anything you wanted to add to this? Any changes that were made, or
Nope, it's the same as it was on the first read.
any discussion? Seeing,
President?
yes, Mr. Panos.
I had a question for Dr. Hill here regarding the number of professional development days. I just sent it in a little while ago, and may not have received. I was just asking, do we have, I count 6.5 professional development days for us? Is that correct?
Can you,
Per year?
Can I just get clarification, which days are you counting? Because the calendar, if you're looking at the calendar, it's coded in green. So all green days, which are 6 days, these are full teachers' professional development days. And then we have early release days. These are half days for students and half days for teachers' professional development. So I don't know the 6.5 where it comes from, because when you count either or both, that doesn't come up to 6.5.
Okay. Thank you. Is that a common thing? How does it compare with other districts?
Actually, it's pretty standard. There are, however, other districts that have way more professional development days. There are some districts very close to us that have half days on Wednesday, every single Wednesday for at least 5 months. So, I think this is the standard, but there are other districts that have way more professional development days.
But none that have any less?
Not that I know of. I have not looked at all 167 districts. Not sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Taylor?
I was going to say that I believe it to be the case that my godchildren go to Craig schools and they have a professional development day every week. They have a half day every week. One professional half day every single week.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, the motion's on the floor to accept the calendar readings for 2024 to 2025 and 25 to 26, and this is a second reading. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Abstention? Motion carries 800. Next item, committee reports. Mr. King, do you have anything?
Nothing concrete to report, but the Long Range Planning Committee is continuing to look at our planning for our schools and our buildings, and there will be an announcement soon for a next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Lockhart?
Other than just read the book, any questions you want answered, please send the email to myself and Dr. Hill. And I'm looking forward to starting this process next Tuesday. Oh, your caucus leaders.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor?
Nothing.
Okay. Any comments for committee chairs or questions? Okay. Mr. Wollaston, anything new or any comments regarding policy committee?
Nope.
Thank you. Okay. We're now at other matters, announcements, and regular board meetings. We'll have a board meeting and a public forum, Board of Ed public forum with Finance Committee meeting immediately after on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024, 6 p.m. in the boardroom. We'll also have a Board of Ed meeting with public forum with Finance Committee immediately after on Tuesday, January 30th, 6 p.m. at the LPW boardroom. Board of Ed public forum with Finance Committee immediately following on Tuesday, February 6th, 6 p.m. in the LPW boardroom. And a Finance Committee on Tuesday, February 13th at 6:30 p.m. in the boardroom if needed. The next regular Board of Ed meeting is Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, 7 p.m. in the boardroom here. At this point, I'll see if there's any announcements from anyone, starting with Mr. King.
No announcements at this time, but I hope everyone has a great rest of the month.
Thank you. Mr. Madison?
All set. Thank you.
Mr. Wollaston?
Nothing from me either.
Ms. Cantor?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Lockhart?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Halleck?
No announcements. Thank you.
Ms. Taylor?
Wishing everyone a wonderful rest of the week, especially our high schoolers with midterms and all. And please, if you do have sidewalks in front of your home, remove the snow, put down salt so that we're not having kiddos and people walking to school falling and things of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Panos? We couldn't there for a second.
Okay, I have nothing to report, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have nothing, and looking for one more motion. Oh, always jumping the gun here, not seeing anybody in the room. Miss Daly, if you could read your script.
Good evening, this is Robin Daly from the Superintendent's Office. If anyone from the public would like to address the board, you may do so in two ways. You may type your
Anybody in the boardroom who would like to address the board? Seeing none. Anybody online who would like to address the board?
There are no hands raised, and there are no comments in the Q&A.
Okay, now looking for the final motion.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Halleck. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstention, motion carries 900. We are adjourned at 8:10.
Were you going to see it?
Thank you,
See what
Paul.
happens when Paul doesn't come in?
Thank you, Paul.